Hi, Teri here from Stamping Magic. Welcome back to my channel. Today's project is another beautiful box. The flowers come from the Sweet Strawberry stamp set. The sentiment came from the Peaceful Moments set, but I'm going to use a different sentiment today. You open the box by unwinding the baker's twine on the back, open it up, and inside is a CD. Now, as you can see, my taste in music is right up to the minute and very modern, not. Now, CDs, I guess, are quite old-fashioned these days. Everything's sort of digital online, but there's still a certain generation that enjoys receiving them, as I know. So, let's get started. These are all the measurements you need for all the elements required to create this project. So if you're interested in reproducing it, take a screenshot so you can refer to it later. I'm using basic black cardstock for my box. Now I've got two pieces, one for the main body and one for the lid. Now this larger piece measures 11.5 inches by 6 3/4 inches. So you can cut it from 12 by 12 card or A4 card, but you can't cut it from 8.5 by 11 inch card. So if you bear with me, in a few minutes I'm going to show you how to create the same box from 8.5 by 11 inch card. The largest piece goes into the scoreboard with the longest side across the top, and I'm going to score this down at 5 inches, 5.5 inches, 10.5 inches and 11 inches. Then I'm going to quarter turn it clockwise and I'm going to score down a 1/2 inch and 6.25 inches. The lid piece goes into the scoreboard with the shorter side across the top, and you want to score down at 2 inches. If you want to cut your card from 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock, you will need to cut two pieces. I'm just using some retired cardstock for this demonstration. Each piece measures 6 3/4 inches by 6 inches. You want to place them into the scoreboard with the shorter side across the top and score down at 5 inches and 5.5 inches. Quarter turn your cardstock so the longest side is across the top and score down at 1/2 inch and 6.25 inches. Then repeat for the second piece. So short side across the top, score at 5 and 5.5. Long side across the top, score at 1/2 and 6.25. I'm now going to join these two pieces together. Now you want to have the vertical score lines on the right hand side, and then on one piece you're going to remove the little square sections on the top and the bottom corners on the right hand side. And at the same time as I'm doing that, I'm notching or slant cutting the top and bottom of the remaining 1/2 inch tab. I'll then add glue to that 1/2 inch tab, and you can use tape adhesive if you prefer, and I'll place the other piece on top of it, lining up the top and bottom score lines. This piece will now look exactly the same as if it had been cut from A4 or 12 by 12 card, and it can be processed in exactly the same way. So I'm going to continue with my basic black. Again, with the vertical score lines towards the right hand side, you want to remove the top and bottom small square sections and slant cut the top and the bottom of the remaining 1/2 inch tab. Now I'm going to cut along the vertical score lines at the base to create rectangular and square tabs. I'm going to cut next to the rectangle as a straight cut, and then I'm going to slant cut either side of the little square tab that's created. So again, I'm going to cut up next to the rectangle, and then I'm going to slant cut that little square tab's sides, and this will remove the score lines. On the top of the box, I need to remove the long section on the left hand side, and then I'm going to cut down the vertical score lines to create 2 square tabs and 1 rectangular tab. So first of all, I'm removing the long rectangular section, and I'm making a straight cut just underneath the score line, so that score line is removed. Then I'll make a straight cut down the vertical score line to take that section away. Then I'm going to cut down the remaining score lines, and I'm actually going either side of the score line and taking the score line away. I am not slant cutting the sides of the little square tabs. So again, straight cuts to remove that score line, and it's just a tiny slither that you remove. And that's all the cutting required. I can now fold on all the score lines and burnish them with my bone folder. On the lid section, you also want to slant cut both sides of that 1/2 inch tab that you've created. On the opposite long side, I'm going to use the border die from the Peony die set to create a fancy edge. Now when I cut this, I'm going to cut it so the scallops are just in from the edge of the cardstock. And this is how it looks. Now if you haven't got these dies, don't worry, this is purely optional anyway. You could just round the corners and that would look just as nice. The die doesn't only cut the scallops, but it also embosses onto them this lovely swirly pattern, which is really pretty. You can now fold on the score line and burnish it with your bone folder. I now want to mark the holes on both pieces for the brads. Now this is the front section, so the left hand side is the back section, and that's where we're going to pierce the holes. You'll need a pencil and a ruler for this. Now the lid section will eventually join to the front section, but I'm going to just hook it over the back section for now so I can mark the position for the 2 brads. One will go on the lid, one on the back. Now the lid and the back both measure 5 inches, so you want to make a mark at 2.5 inches. And I'm just doing this by eye. It's approximately 1 inch up from the edge of the lid and about 1 inch down from the edge of the lid again on the back section, and just make a pencil mark. Then I can go ahead and pierce the holes. I'm using my retired 1/2 inch circle punch to punch 2 circles from some scrap Rococo Rose card. You could use any small circle punch or die that you have for this. And then I'm going to pierce a hole through the centre of both of them. The brads I'm using are again retired. Stampin' Up don't sell brads anymore, and these are our silver brads. Now you could use any that you have. So I'm threading the brad through the Rococo Rose circle and then through the hole that I've pierced in my lid and in my main panel. When you open the legs on the back, keep them loose, don't press them down tight. To join the 2 pieces together, just add glue to the 1/2 inch tab on the lid, and then you're going to place the 1/2 inch tab on the front section of your main piece on top of it. So line up the edge with the score line on the lid and then just press it down. And I've done it this way so you get a lovely clean edge on the front, on the top and the bottom. I'm not going to put the rest of the box together just yet because I want to add my decorative panel to it while it's still flat. It's just easier that way. So I'm going to create that next. To create my frame of flowers, I'm going to use one of the layering oval dies as a template. Now this is one size down from the largest. Now you could wing this if you like, in that you can place your die where you think the centre of this panel is and draw with a pencil around it, and then you can position your flowers. But I like to be a bit more precise when I do these sort of things, so I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm marking the halfway point along each edge with a pencil. On the short sides that's 5.95 centimetres or 2 5/16 of an inch. On the long sides that's 6.95 centimetres or 2 11/16 of an inch. I can then draw light pencil lines between these points to create 4 quadrants on my panel. The lines should go through the centre of the oval vertically and horizontally, so they help me centre it. Now I know, because I use centimetres, that I want 2.7 centimetres on each side, and I want 2.5 centimetres on the top and the bottom from the edges to the oval. If you use inches, your panel's a slightly different size, so you'll have to work out what you need for yours. Now I'm going to secure the die with a little bit of washi tape. I don't want it to move when I draw around it. And then I can very lightly draw around my oval and then remove it. This is the Sweet Strawberry stamp set, and I'm just using the 2 little flowers today. I'll be stamping using Memento Tuxedo black ink because I'm going to use my Stamping Blends alcohol markers to colour. My first 4 images are going to be placed where the straight lines dissect the oval. So it's quite easy to see where these need to go. And I'm trying to get the centre of the flower to be on that oval pencil line. It doesn't matter if you're out slightly, but that's my aim. So that's my first 4 flowers stamped. Now I need to stamp in the gaps between them, and you'll stamp 3 flowers in each gap. Now I found it easier just to start at one that I've already stamped and then stamp the 3 along, rather than try and stamp one in the middle and then one on either side. I do apologise for my hair getting in the way here, but as you can imagine, I need to line this up quite precisely, and it's very difficult with the camera. As you're stamping each image, just turn the stamp slightly so all your flowers don't look identical. On a scrap piece of Whisper White card, I'm going to stamp the extra flowers I need. Now I need 4 little ones and 2 of the larger ones. I stamped the first large one a bit close to the edge. The sentiment I'm going to use this time is Thinking of You from the Good Morning Magnolia stamp set. Again, I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink for this. As soon as your ink is dry, you can erase all the pencil lines on your main panel. The colours that I'm using this time are going to be Rococo Rose, Pretty Peacock and Purple Posy. Before you start colouring, think about where you want to put your colours. Now you've got 16 flowers in total and you need to decide on the pattern of colour. I used pink for top, bottom, left and right, and then I used a pattern of 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2 for the remaining colours. So if you're copying me, that's fine. If you want to do something different, make sure your colour pattern works before you start using it. Otherwise you could end up with several flowers of the same colour together where you don't want them. I'm going to cut out the sentiment using one of the Stitched Shapes dies, and this is the second size down of the ovals. I've already created a basic black oval mat to go underneath it using one of the layering ovals dies, and this is the third size down. The smaller flowers will be punched out using the Strawberry Builder punch. The larger flowers will be punched out using the Small Bloom punch. I've gone ahead and embossed both the main panel and the sentiment panel with the Subtles embossing folder. You need to use a 6-inch folder so the front panel will fit. I'm going to shape all the flowers on a foam mat, and I'm using a ball tool to do this. This is a cake decorating tool, I think. So all you do is press the ball into the centre of the flower and then use a circular motion, and this will make the petals curl upwards. I have a Rococo Rose mat to go under my decorative panel. And then I've got my sentiment and the mat to go underneath it, and I've added dimensionals to the black oval, and then I've got my flowers, and I'll also be using some of our basic pearls. I can now add glue to the 1/2 inch strip. Again, you can use tape adhesive if you prefer. And then I'm going to close the opposite side onto this. Now, I did actually forget to do something before I started putting this together, and that's to cut out the half circle at the top of the back section. This will just help you remove the CD. So I'm going to do it now. It's not a problem at all, but it's easier if you do it before you join the box together. So I've marked the halfway point on that top edge, and I'm going to use my 1 inch punch and just punch a part circle from that top edge. So I'm centering that pencil mark within my punch. When you put the base of the box together, the long tab at the bottom of the back section gets folded in first. You then need to add glue to the remaining 2 little side tabs and the long front tab. Fold the side tabs in first so they're sandwiched between the larger ones, and then fold the front tab, and this will leave you clean edges on the front. I can then add my CD. Now I'm going to use a length of our white baker's twine to form the closure. First of all, I wrap it round the top brad and then do a figure of 8 to complete the closure. Then I can trim the ends. And that's my box complete. Now, as I said in the beginning, you probably don't give CDs of music like you used to, but there are occasions when I do, and both my mother-in-law and my dad like to receive them, so it's a box that I will occasionally use. And here's the card I've made to go with the box I've just created. Again, exactly the same, just the panel on the front is slightly smaller. And here's another look at the box that I showed you at the beginning of this video. The colours used for this one are Flirty Flamingo, So Saffron and Purple Posy again. And the card to go with this box. Now the card was the first item of the 4 that I made, and I used a different embossing folder for the Whisper White panels. I used the Tasteful Textile, and I love this folder even more than the Subtle folder, but it's a narrow folder. So when I came to make the box, it was too narrow. I had to use a 6-inch folder for it. So that's when I switched to the subtle one. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Bye for now.